Welcome to Holistal's Smart Habits Podcast, where making small changes can make a big difference. For our first ever episode, we're talking to Daniel, who is one of the main founder and one of the founders of Holistal. And we were wondering if you could just guide us and tell us a little bit about what's behind the foundation of Holistal.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to the foundation of Holistal, it's quite simple, honestly. It's about how we function as humans. What do we need in terms of humans for actually being healthy and being well functioning? And Holistal in that case is, looking into several factors around our needs, which are simplistic human needs. Eating, sleeping, moving, exercising, and also our mental well-being. So it's those are the main foundations that we look into in our service.
And how come this idea even sort of sprung to a full company and a full service towards companies? How come? What's behind?
That's a good question. I mean, we didn't really have like an actual plan. It kind of one thing led to another, and here we are. I mean, for the past, I would say, almost 20 years, it's 18 years to be precise, I've been working with healthcare. And in my old business, when we were working with more traditional care, we realized, and I was doing this huge survey of our patients. I was looking at this and saying, a majority of our patients that are coming to us have multiple diagnoses or issues that are lifestyle related mainly. So what happened was I was trying to figure this out. I was like, why are we not doing more proactive work within our clinics? And when I reviewed our agreements, it was saying that we needed to do more proactive work, but in practice, it meant more like preventing harm towards patients, and nothing more than that, which is actually good in that sense. But I created a model back then, and we're in 2009, and where I was trying to map out, I would say, main causes of poor health, trying to lay it out quite simply. But I draw out this model, like how do we capture the main causes of poor health, and how can we, in an early stage, put in relevant measures to prevent progression of poor health or poor behaviors in this case. So this model was lying on my computer for many years.
It was like a doctoral thesis or something.
Yeah, I mean, it got published by Arthur Little, and KPMG brought it up many years ago as like this leading. This is 2009, so like the future of healthcare model. But we didn't have the technical capacities that we have today back then, so it became like this really nice model. But over the years when I was working in tech, I realized that as we are progressing as a society and human beings, our technical interactions are increasing. We can have more support with both techs and our environments today to actually achieve change on a personal level. And so basically, I was involved in a different project. We're working with eating behavior. So so that was our thing. So it was called Foodster back then. It was an amazing company, and we took it a step further then. So we realized, okay, why are we only working with food and eating behavior? Let's look at this more holistically. And I was like, I have a model. We brought up the model, and then it all started from there. So we started to develop the service from that point.
Great. Yeah. I'm lucky then that you actually kept that computer.
Yeah.
The model didn't go astray.
It was someone else's computer. It was in the cloud. So
So and you have choices to go when you're going to work with this stuff. You could go direct to the consumer, you can go into the business thing.
Yeah.
So you've made a few choices about the direction of Holistal and how you're going to work with the companies, and let's say instead of the end consumer or the what was the thinking behind all that?
The thinking was that so if we wanted to achieve change, let's say behavioral change in this case, because to actually achieve change that lasts, you need to change behavior. So that was the basic assumption we took. And for an individual to actually change, you need to have support. So we started to map out to see like how can we best apply this tool or this concept in an environment that has most of the elements that we need or individual needs to actually become more motivated, activated, and so on, to actually be engaged in a long-term change. So it's really hard to like influence people in their home, in their family culture, and most of the services that we look at today that are trying to promote better health and so on. I mean, some of them are amazing, but it's really hard for any of these services to become long-lasting. So in order to become long-lasting, you need to kind of, grab on the different elements such as culture, rituals, follow-up procedures, reward systems, etc. So companies have all of these things in place, and all of these elements are being managed on a daily basis. So we saw this as a great opportunity to actually start out with companies. So so that was like the reasoning behind why companies and not people in their home.
Excellent. I'm thinking as well, any company knows that it's also a really great investment to look after your employees. It's just common knowledge these days, thank God. But yeah, the thoughts that you had behind it, I love hearing that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm also thinking when Holistal and companies are working very proactively with the health of their employees, anything is possible. But what do you, when you sort of another 18 years from now, when you look back on what's happened since we sat here today, what do you wish to see that you contributed with these services and this company? What would be the sort of dream scenario for you? Just a small question.
That's a big question. I would say, I mean, looking back, if I would speed up time and say like, okay, I'm sitting on my porch at home and looking back 18, 20 years from now and see what did we do? What did we achieve? I would say change. That would be the biggest thing. I would say changing or actually supporting people to actually become a better version of themselves. So that sounds really fluffy, but in actual change, I mean like being a big player on the market that influences people to become healthier through behavioral change. Because honestly, the systems we are against today are huge and well-funded and well-integrated. So I would say it's much easier today to become influenced into poor behavior. I mean, poor health behavior. So the availability of, poor food choices, it's simple. The availability of not moving yourself from your office or your home to buy groceries or your dinner or whatever, everything is made or constructed in a way to be convenient, but in my sense, convenient doesn't necessarily mean good for you, So I would like to see us being up against these systems and actually create a kind of a movement that promotes more activity, that I'm okay with going out, procuring my stuff, taking more responsibility. So that's on an individual level. On a societal level, I would love to see us to actually decrease the cost of poor health. Can we play a small role in this? Because it's a huge market there. But can we play a significant but small role in this? I'll be really happy to sit there in 20 years and say, oh, we help millions of people not getting type 2 diabetes or reducing their risk for hypertension or cardiovascular disease, etc. Can we get to that level? It would be amazing. And honestly, in 20 years from now, who knows? We might be integrated with tech. So I don't even know how Holistal will be interacted with.
You get zapped every time you get reminded inside some tube or something.
Yeah, maybe we get zapped. Geofenced, don't go close to yeah.
Excellent.
But there is an element of like gamification or a kind of reward system thing that's built into Holistal. How important is that to make sure that help people make these changes?
It's really important, I would say, because if people are not motivated, they won't take actions. It's simple as that. And the hard thing in this is not the logic, is how to approach this logic through your service. And we can see different services having different approaches in this. The way we approach it was scientifically modeled and tested, because one thing we knew before we even started to developing the service was to we did not want to fall into the shortcomings of our competitors or the other services, because the motivation and goals and all of these are connected with each other. So what we do is that we created a gamification service as a baseline, I would say, to activate and motivate our user. Point collection, tangible rewards. No one has tangible rewards today. For example, like you don't have a reward portal where your employer actually gives you something for taking care of yourself. But the fundamental of human behavior for actually changing themselves is to constantly being reminded in the positiveness of changing. And that has been the biggest hurdle for us to overcome. And it took us years, but it came down to system thinking. So it's not gamification in itself. It's by having several systems interacting with each other. So I would say that's the core in how we approach it, and making things more fun and engaging for people.
So for those who actually are just listening to this podcast and have no idea what Holistal is, you mentioned the system thinking. So just develop a bit on that. What is actually Holistal? What is the service that you provide?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Holistal is more a concept than a specific technical service. Holistal is on a concept that consists of several layers, I would say. So I would say in terms of it, I would say three things I could summarize it. It's about strategy, capacity, and method as one bundle. It's knowledge transferring or knowledge enhancing. That's I would say a secondary bundle. And then we have the technical bundle, where the application and the dashboards and all the tech comes in to actually make everything seamless and really fun to work with. So Holistal on a strategy and method level means that before we even start to engage with a customer, we need to ensure that we have top management buy-in, because it's a strategic service that companies use. We don't want to be an app or in someone's pocket, and you have work and daily life, so we need to be on a higher level than just being an app in a pocket. So once we got that, we need to ensure that the company has the technical capacity to actually work with preventive health. So we set up a strategic onboarding or it's an onboarding / workshop session where we connect health KPIs or business KPIs, making these really clear so that you know that, if I'm moving this direction, it's going to generate this much in cash. And we also develop, we look into how the actual health services today are delivered to the employees, and the strategy behind that, and and then basically what happens is that we create like a plan, an action plan. So we have a goal, KPIs, we connect with follow-up procedures and sales and everything, and then in weekly meetings or monthly meetings, whatever the client prefers, and then we have that basically as our opus operandi, manual for the company. This is our commitment, and top management need to be involved in this. So that's like the most basic level, and just by doing that, you come pretty far as a company, as becoming more committed. You have created a sense of purpose, and you're also created actions that actually relate to that purpose. You create credibility. Because this is something that a lot of services lack today, is purpose and credibility. Sometimes there's a clear purpose, we need to run this many steps as a company because, it's really fun and good for us. But, the credibility to create something more long lasting is lacking. So this is what we do. We set that foundation there. Then we have we see like, okay, what is the client doing today, and what do they need to do? And that's where the knowledge transfer comes in. So we bring in our partners into this to actually fill in the gaps wherever the client needs it, to actually make the client fundamentally much stronger in their preventative work, and over time increase the with seminars, webinars, and so on, lectures. So they have these type of sessions planned out to create themes and so on. It's really fun. And the last thing is, when we roll out the actual technical platform, where it kind of embraces everything and making it more seamless. You can track everything, you can see your progress, as an individual. You can see like, what am I doing, how many points am I collecting, when is my next reward point. I can see, you have leaderboards. So there's a lot of fun stuff attached to this, and that, I would say, that's the fundamental thing. Coming back to that, it needs to be fun.
So you're creating a structure for this health to be more fun, and to prevent ending up in this kind of direction where things are so easily like pulling us in different directions because there's so much money and capacity behind that.
Yes.
What do you think the responsibility is for companies to take something like this on? Like, what on a societal level, what is the responsibility of companies, or is there a responsibility, or is it just a good business practice?
I would say most of the companies that I've spoken to, which are many, a few hundred, I would say, all of them know this. So they're all committed. I don't think I met one company that has said, we don't really care about the employees' health, or, so all of them are there, but there are nuances into this. So most of them, I would say, it's stupid to generalize, but in this case, I would call it simplify. The argument would be that it's really hard for companies to understand how to commit to what they want.
Yeah.
And that's where we come in and fill into the how can we help you to actually commit to that. And I mean, they have a lot of initiatives and tools to actually approach poor health and improving employee health, but they're mostly transactional, but here they can influence and promote and help. So I would say giving them the capacity to influence and promote helps them a long way. So the long answer to your question is that I think the responsibility is clear for them. It's really hard for them to approach it on how. So yeah.
I'm also thinking any organization is a complex system, and the whole idea of treating everybody the same is just not working. So how does Holistal fit into that? Because not everybody wants to go running or go to the gym, or how does Holistal support?
That's a good question, because that question has come up a few times during my meetings too. I would say from the data that we have is that majority of the if we create like a pie chart or whatever, say 20% of the users usually in or employees in a company are like these super active persons, and no matter what you throw at them, they like it. It's fun,
They're the easy ones.
Yeah, I mean they are out running and doing their things and so on, and they get a lot of attention. I mean that's because you see them, they're changing their clothes, they're biking to work, and super active. And then you have around 60% that are like they are working, and sometimes it's spring, I start to run a little bit more. I do try some paddle here, and there's a lot of mixture between physical activity and interest for food. So because the hyperactive people or hyper engaged people, they're not necessarily eating correctly, for example. Because we did a survey on the company that they were like super hardcore, but they were working out, bicycling, everything, but their recovery time in terms of sleep was bad, and in terms of what they ate was bad.
Protein bars.
Yeah, I mean, because it was more stressed out behavior, because I don't know, but it was really, really clear in that case that it wasn't feasible over a long time, the way they were approaching it, and they were pretty young group, so it was good for them to get an eye opener in that case. But I would say, go back to the question, was that the 60% or something, there's a good spread between them, because some of them are used to be very physically active, some of them are more interested in eating more healthy, so they look into like healthy cooking and stuff like that. Some of them are more interested in spiritual, mental well-being, and into like doing meditative or yoga and stuff like that. So there you have this big pot of a lot of interests there, and then you have this like 10-20% that they never engage in anything because for whatever reason. And when we designed this service, we knew this because we were out serving companies and trying to understand this mixture, and so we engaged our clients quite early into the creation of the service. We the way Holistal is designed is based on your answers on your goals and needs. So what happens, and the way we created the background, because there's a lot of stuff happening in the background that is quite cool, that is like building correlation, different type of answering patterns and so on. And what all of this results to is that you as an individual, even if you're in the 10-20%, get really relevant actions and measures for you. And the way we designed it, we reduced all the stigma. We eliminated all the stigma, because stigma today is, BMI, my weight, I'm overweight, or my body mass index is too high, or what does it even mean? And how far am I running? Oh, my pace is bad. Oh, I will never make it, stuff like that. So we create our own measurement, which actually measures change in behavior. Right. Which is our main KPI, because it's called the Healthy Habit Index. That's like the name we have for it right now, and it actually removes all these elements of stigma. So the only thing the individual, the 10-20%, focuses on is how can I improve my healthy habits from this to that. And our use case is quite simple. You don't need to go all Olympic, into it.
Good. That's a relief.
I mean, is the way we approach it is that, and even communicate it to the users, is that, even if you do one thing consistently over time, you will create a big change. So do what you can do. Don't take on too much. Just rather take on too little in the beginning, and then you can pace up. And all of these reduces the hurdle for these non-active, non-engaging people, because all of a sudden they can do like, I can do more healthy cooking. And it's all routine building. So if I never trained, so the first routine for me is to actually practice packing a gym bag. Just mentally packing your gym bag. You don't even have to bring it to work. You just pack it, And then your next step is to bring it to the door. Next step is to bring it to your work. Next step for you is to actually go to the gym. So you're actually creating and stepping in users slowly into healthy behaviors. And we don't care. There's no measurement that, you packed it 10 times this week and you didn't go to the gym. We don't do those type of comparisons. But it's all about creating positive reinforcement and small routines. Yeah. So in that way we can approach the whole audience and a broad audience into the companies, and that's I would say that combined with personal coaching. So we have like video coaching. It's quite powerful, and that I would say the companies that we meet with or have met with also see this as our core strength, to have this versatility in our service, but also having a human level interaction with users, so they have someone they can entrust themselves with to support them, to improve and become better. All of this in a very private concealment, of course.
Any final questions for Daniel?
Yeah, I'm curious to find out what healthy habits do you have that you want to share that could be a good tip for anyone out there?
So a healthy habit that I have. So one thing is to have, for me, so everyone are different. So what I figured out for me was that I would say having a good variety in my nutrition and my food.
Yeah.
So I would say I used to be a person that would preach a lot about living healthy, but I was working day and night and not living the way I was preaching. So I realized it's not feasible. It's not, my body and my mental well-being was taking too big of a hit. So it came to a moment of change for me, and I realized that, okay, what I can control is what I eat. So that's the first step for me. That was my, I would say, starting habit. So I changed the way I ate, and then I started to be creating a larger variety. So that would be my biggest main habit. The other thing that I've lately approached, and I realized, since I'm not getting younger, but I'm not old, but I'm realizing that we're coming into post 40s, you start to get mobility issues, and you can't train the way you used to do, and even though you mentally think you're 25, no, but I would say become more consistent in workout and so on. So even if I get 30 minutes during a lunch or whatever, I take that 30 minutes and go out and run and or at least move, activate myself. So these two things, I would say I have applied stringently in my life for the past years.
Great, good tip to anyone.
Yeah. But you're different.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
so much for
Really
sharing.
great.
Thank you for
It was great
having me.
Here.
It was
great.
It's nice to share some background.
Yeah, it was really nice to hear a lot more about Holistal, how it started and the thinking behind it, and it was really interesting. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.